Tatpadam darshidam yen tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjanam Shalakaya Chakshurumilitam yen tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Gurur Devo Maheshwara Gurur Sakshat Parabrahma Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Om Shri Gurubhye Namaha. So here is a mixed, like those who haven't taken Kriya, new, and those who have taken and not practiced. All are there. Very good. Very good combination. So, when I talk about Kriya, please listen carefully. Also those who think they have already taken Kriya, because then it will also serve as a review. You may have questions we can ask later, but please attend to what I am saying. Don't think I know, therefore I don't have to listen. Okay? Huh? And not now, when we actually... I'll signal to you. I'll do like this. No, I'm okay. I'm okay. So, I forgot to take the sunblock, but it's okay. First of all, why Kriya? We should start there. Why should we do Kriya? There are thousands of people, millions of people living in this world who don't do any Kriya whatsoever, apart from our Kriya bonds. So, why should we take Kriya? Now, yesterday's Satsang I talked about Bhakti, about the heart, and how there is no difference between Jnana and Bhakti in a way. Although approaches are different for different people, depending on their attitude and mental makeup. Ultimately, the idea is that one has to surrender one's thought processes completely, not in dealing with daily life, but in finding the truth. So that in the quietness and tranquility of mind, one begins to access that which is deep within us and which is divine and which is a spark of the supreme all-pervading reality. So the first step is the mind has to become quiet, calm, without distractions, because that is the runway from which you take off into the higher levels. Essential. Now different people do it in different ways. The yogis who follow the yoga system of Patanjali, they practice pranayam, they do various things, and then they try to make the chitta free of vrittis, the mind free of distractions and contradictions. There are others who are naturally born devotees who simply by loving the deity, either as formless or with form, totally surrender all their thoughts and then move towards the Supreme. So, two ways. The third is though few lucky ones, I would say, who simply by saying, I am not this body, then who am I, attain the Supreme. There are many ways of doing it. There are devotees, there are seekers who combine many of the methods together and proceed. Even the greatest of Vedantins, as we discussed yesterday, sometimes went all out to talk about the benefits of devotion. I gave you an example of Shankara yesterday. Now, here we are very close to Nerur, where Sadashiva Brahmendra lived. Here is a great yogi. He practiced Sri Vidya. He practiced the Kundalini Yoga. He was a doyen of Vedantic literature, And he is the one who first attempted to bridge the gap between yoga and Vedanta. Because there were schools which were trying to separate them, and wrote the Yoga Sudhakara. And he was a devotee par excellence. You heard the songs yesterday, which he had composed. So what I am saying is, all these can coexist in one person. They need not be different. But if someone is going on one path, we have no right to say that you are wrong. That may be that person's path. Ultimately, what is required is the mind has to be still and have no distractions and be one point. When some people came to my teacher, Maheshwarnath Babaji, and asked him, we want Kriya, he used to say, are you prepared for it first? Are you ready for it? There are some ground rules to be followed. Are you really seeking the truth? Is it so urgent for you that you want to take Kriya? Then he used to also say, what Kriya did Mirabai take? No Kriya. Why? Because her mind was one-pointedly flowing towards her aim, which was the darshan of her deity. He also used to often ask, what Kriya did Ramana Maharshi practice? Nothing. So it is not as if, please keep this in mind, after you take Kriya, don't say, oh, I am a Kriyavan, now everybody is inferior. It is not like that. There are great beings who have reached the ultimate without practicing Kriya, meaning this Kriya. So it's not like that. All other qualities essential for a seeker should be there. When you do then practice Kriya, then you kind of spirit up a bit. How? As we discussed yesterday, that's why I wanted that satsang to be yesterday as we did it. Short, 1 hour, but essentially to give the points. The ordinary senses cannot really grasp the Supreme Being. When you have even when great devotees have a vision of the Supreme in some form, even then, it's not with these eyes. It's not with these ears. It's through something else. So since these 5 sense organs, the indriyas, and the intellect which is built by these experiences of the indriyas is too limited to touch the infinite, we seek other instruments of perception. Now, the great rishis said, apart from these panchendriyas, all human beings have other instruments of perception which are not opened usually, which are latent and which can be activated. When these are activated, then the mind expands and you experience and see what you cannot see with your limited senses or with your ordinary logic. So then from there we come to the point, are there ways and means to activate these instruments of perception? Like the ajna. And the rishis said, yes, there are. And all the methodologies and techniques of yoga are meant to do that much only. Whether you reach there depends on how one-pointedly you want to get there. Otherwise, you may still, by practice, develop a calm and quiet mind and therefore gather a lot of energy and not dissipate it and become big in some field. But that's not the aim of Kriya. Because with the weapon of complete energy and total attention to points, single-pointedness, anything in the world can be attained, actually. But the yogi knows that it is of no use. We have to die, so where will we carry this? So we're not interested in that. Often, rarely, it happens that at some points we might have to use this energy for somebody else's good. Then it might manifest itself automatically, not deliberately. But we all possess it. So, the practice of Kriya is to open up or activate those instruments of perception in us which have not been activated, which are latent, hidden. Now, when this happens, please understand this, depending upon your personality, it manifests in different ways. Suppose, from childhood, I want to believe in my mind, or I believe that the Supreme Being is Krishna. Suppose, I got up like that, let's say. Then when you practice Kriya, that instrument of perception is opened into you where you actually see the divine in that form. However, if you are one who thinks along the Advaita Vedantic way of the forms are all temporary, they will disappear, even the gods, there is only that reality, then when you practice Kriya, that will be open for you. What I am trying to say, you don't have to change your view of religion, but whatever way you are looking at it, it can be accelerated and improved through the practice of Kriya. And if it's still not working, it can be made to work. I hope you got what I am trying to say. So don't discriminate Kriya, non-Kriya people. Don't do that. Don't. Somewhere somebody wrote Kriya is the express way. That I don't believe it. It's all hard work. It's hard work. Neither I believe it, nor did Babaji say any such thing. There is no such express way. Yeah. Since it is a blow by blow, point by point, methodological way of doing, like the practices of yoga, therefore it appeals to people because you go step by step, not something at random. Okay. Now, when I say Kriya, in this case, therefore, there must be several Kriyas in yoga. Can't be that there is only one. Yoga Shastra has several Kriyas. In fact, Patanjali calls the Yoga Sutras in the second chapter as Kriya Yoga itself. If you go to the, it has 3 parts, starts with Samadhi Pada, section on Samadhi, and then the next one is the practice part. I don't know what it is, I forgot. Anyway, this, Sadhana part. So when it goes to the practice, there are people who studied the Yoga Sutra. Paul. So there must be many Kriyas, several Kriyas. However, when I say Kriya, I am talking about that Kriya which has come to me from a certain source. And the source is Sri Guru Babaji, Maheshwarnath Babaji and me. Only 3 links. But the same Kriya must have been taught in different traditions to different people, I am sure. I can't say only I carry the license of nothing like that. Because I don't have anything to sell. If I had, I would have said that. You give me $5,000, otherwise I cannot give you Kriya, because this is the only, we don't have anything to sell. We're not in the business of buying Kriya and selling. That should be in the marketplace. So, this is the Kriya which we are talking about. Now, how do we go about this practice? What is the practice for? Before that, I must give you a small anatomy physiology of the yoga. It may sound little different from the anatomy and physiology that you see in anatomy hall, but it's similar and it's very close if you look carefully. The anatomy is like this. We'll come to the physiology later, the anatomy. See, in India, for thousands of years, we are accustomed to teaching by word. So we don't have, otherwise when I go to the West, usually when you have a Kriya section, there's a board here. And there are some chalks, color chalks, so I can actually mark and see. Now, we are imaginative people in this country. So you should imagine, I'm just going to talk. Yeah? He knows. In Washington DC, we had a big board and some chalks and color. Okay. So this is, the human body has several nadis or pathways of energy starting from the brain, head, and going down to different parts of the body. You can call them arteries, veins, nerve channels, many nadis. One word, nadi. Of these, according to yoga, three are most important. One is the left side nadi, which descends from the right brain, goes this way, crosses here, and goes to the left. This nadi is called the Ida nadi. Ida. Whenever I breathe this sound, see, Ida nadi. Then, from the left side of the brain, the nadi comes, crosses here, and goes to the right. This is the Pingala nadi. And at the bottom of the spine, the Ida and the Pingala meet together in one point at the end of the spine. That point is called Moola Dhara. Moola Adhara, root foundation. Moola Dhara. Now, that's 1 and 2. So the left side nadi, the Ida, is symbolized by the moon and cool. And the right is symbolized by the sun, hot, fairy. Everybody has it. 2. Now, where the Ida and Pingala meet at the Mooladhara, from there, directly straight, without turning and twisting, there is a nadi which is called the Sushumna. It doesn't go this way, it goes straight. Sushumna also starts at the Mooladhara. I wouldn't say starts at the Mooladhara, I would prefer to say ends at the Mooladhara, but also starts from the brain, from the Sahasra, central brain. You can, in ordinary anatomy, compare it, the Sushumna, with the cerebrospinal system, and the left and the right with the parasympathetic vagus nerve system, which controls most of our bodily functions. Now, for most of us, to do anything in this world, to study, to paint, to make money, to do physical exercise, everything, it's enough that the energy which is called the prana passes through the Ida and the Pingala, more than enough. For some activities are performed better when the energies are more on the leader, left, and some are performed better when the energy is on the right. But we all use this. That is sufficient for us even to learn Vedanta. Theoretically. It's enough. Now, then why is the central nadi there, Sushumna? The function which Kriya performs for the yogi is to bring the energies from the Ida and the Pingala, which is like the anode and the cathode. I am deliberately avoiding the word positive and negative, plus and minus, because it is not minus. It is the cathode, charge, minus, and that is the anode, plus. Both are not unequal to each other. Now the yogi who performs his Kriya or his Tantra Yoga, whatever he is doing, it's parts, Kriya Yoga also comes as part of Yoga Tantras, inner Tantra. He brings the energies which are passing through the Ida and the Pingala to the bottom of the Muladhara, balances them, anode and cathode. Now, if you go to a little lab and have a wire which has anode, which is anode and cathode with electric charge, and if you hit them together, there's a spark. So he brings the energies to the Muladhara and sparks them. This spark we call the Bindu. If you see at Sri Yantra, you will see a Bindu in the middle of the triangle, that Bindu. For us it is all inside, not outside. Then that Bindu is now undistractedly made to travel up the Shushumna, the straight and narrow path, till it reaches the Sahasrara, step by step touching different centers. So the mind is transformed from the gross to the subtle and subtle and subtle, finally subtlest. This is the function of Kriya. How to do it practically is a function of Kriya. Now, there are one more thing, let me explain. Now, each of these centers, starting from the Muladhara to the Sahasrara, there are 5 more centers. Each has its name. Some call it chakra because the energies come together and move. Whirl. So chakra. Sometimes they call padmas, lotuses, because generally they are closed and they open. If you go inside and see, you will neither find a lotus nor a chakra. It's a symbolic representation of the energy opening up. So you go to the anatomy hall and say, can't find the Swadhisthana. Yeah. Corresponding to the chakras or the padmas, there is a cluster of nerves which are called the plexuses. They come from the right and the left and join together. Most of the places where there are what we call padmas, there is a plexus, nerve plexus. You know the solar plexus, right? Ladies should especially know the solar plexus. If somebody attacks you, just raise your knee onto this part. But sometimes nobody can function. The breath goes out. Finished. So, these are the plexuses. Now, how to activate them and so on. Now, one more thing. Not only are they called plexuses, they have symbols. We have to check why these symbols are what they are. The bottommost Muladhara is symbolized by a square with a triangle inside. Now this square represents solid. Actually it's a cube, but 3-dimensionally it's a square. Which means this earth and Prakriti, whatever we see in front of us, is this 3-dimensional material world. That is represented by the Muladhara. Most of our functions, most of us are Muladhara oriented. When the energy flows from Muladhara downwards, we indulge in what for a human being is most enjoyable after food and sleep. What is it? People are afraid of using the sex. When the energy flows downwards from the Muladhara, then we know what it is. The joy and the happiness for which some people can spend days, years together wooing somebody in many ways. So you know the joy of that. So imagine how it would be if that is multiplied 1,000,000 times, not in the Muladhara, but in higher areas. So anyway, now the symbol is a solid. You know, the grossest form of matter is solid. And then what happens? It becomes a liquid. Next subtle form of matter is liquid. So the next Swadhisthana center is represented by a Chandrakala, a crescent, which is the lower and the higher meniscus of water when it is kept in a vessel. Physics. And not water but liquid. So it is called apas tattva, liquidy tattva. That means from the gross prithvi, which is solid, to apas. Then comes the Agni Chakra, also known as Manipura. Some people call it Kundalini Chakra. There are Samaya Margis who would not go below that. They will only start from here. It doesn't matter. This is represented by fire. Bright red fire. Burning flames. Because from there, the heat of meditation further melts the watery tattva of apas to vayu. That means satla. Vayu means air, not just wind. That means the next step after liquid. Yeah. So therefore the next center, which is called the anahata. Anahata means that which is not stuck. Sound which comes when two things strike, that we know. But this is a sound that comes when there is only clapping with one hand, which you can't imagine. You need two. Anahat means unstuck sound. And that is represented by vayu. So from the gross, the energies have become, as it ascends, subtler and subtler, and now it's in the gaseous state. Yeah. And the color there is sky blue, akasha. But actually the akasha tattva is here, which is called the Vishuddhi chakra, which is colored indigo, and which represents matter in its subtlest form, primeval matter, which is called akasha. In physical science, you cannot have a word for it. You can say perhaps subatomic or nanoparticles or something like that. I don't know, there is no sound. It is that from which this whole world comes and to which it goes back. Undifferentiated. Origin. The tattva is called akasha. So, the bindu or the mind or awareness is lifted from the solid to the liquid to the fire, then to the gaseous state, and then finally to akasha, which is primeval, from which everything else comes and everything else goes back. And then from there you have the ajna, which is colored. What is the color of the throat? How many people traveled indigo this day? Here is the ajna chakra, which is, you can't define after akasha. Even akasha is difficult to define. From here, it's the subtlest thing that even the mind cannot conceive, and it is white in color. Pure white like milk. And then from here comes the last Sahasrara, where we believe that Shiva sits in all his splendor. Shivam, not exactly Shiva with the snake. Shivam meaning the all-pervading, auspicious, supreme Anandam, reality, the Sahasrara. And it is multicolored, like the little bulbs which China sells to us nowadays, multicolored. And therefore the ascent is from gross to the subtle till you come to the multidimensional. And this is a fact, these are actual things, these are not something in my brain. And the practice of Kriya is to take the bindu from there, step by step, to the top. But generally, the Sushumna is filled with so much muck that it is not possible for the bindu to travel. Therefore, the first exercise of Kriya is to clean the Sushumna first. If you clean the Sushumna, the rest of the thing happen by themselves. You don't even have to bother much. Having said this, let me also tell you one more thing before we go in. The Ajna Chakra is where this center in the Gita, a little bit of hidden Kriya Yoga is given. When Krishna in the Dhyana Yoga says to Arjuna, fix your attention in the middle of your brows, Bhru Madhya, balance your prana and apana, pranapana samayukta, and then be free. So anyway, the Ajna is where the Ida and the Pingala cross. So for us yogis, Varanasi is here, wherever we sit, because we consider this as the Varuna and this as the Asi. And where Varuna and Asi cross each other, that is Varanasi for us. When we stand there in Varanasi, look up, Shiva is sitting here in Kashi. And now the good news is every one of you carries it. So you are all divine, whether you know it or not. So this is the practice of Kriya. How to do this, that is the practice. Before we go into that, there is a little time. Once upon a time, when I was told to teach Kriya by Babaji, Maheshwarnath Babaji, I was given 24 qualifications required to teach Kriya. I looked at these qualifications and I told Babaji, please find somebody else, Babaji. This is not possible. I don't think anyone can be taught Kriya. First he said, you have to be Nitya Brahmacharis. I said, not possible. This world. And so on. There are many others. So finally, for your sake, not mine, out of kindness, it was reduced to only 4. So now we have 4. At least we must try to do as much as we can of this 4. You cannot practice it to 100% perfection, because if you did, you are already a yogi. We are just trying, striving. They are actually perfectly simple, but not as easy as we think. Easier said than done, but possible to. At least 60%, 50% we can do. It's enough. Don't say, I'm not doing because I said it is enough. Try to be 100%, but it's not easy. Here are the 4 rules. 1, if you take Kriya, I said this to people who took Kriya long ago, but nobody cares. If you take Kriya, at least practice once a day. At least. If you do 2, it is better, good. If you do 3, even good. But at least once a day, don't miss your Kriya. Don't give any excuse, including taking the dog out for a walk. I also do that. But I don't excuse myself. 1. 2, don't become, as soon as you take Kriya, teachers of Kriya. I am saying this specially because we are living in a commercial world. So you take Kriya from me and go back, and you think you have compassion, so you want to teach. It's not compassion. And then you say, where did you take your Kriya, sir? From Sri M taught me. Then it must be authentic, yes. So can you teach me? Yes. How much? 20,000 bucks. So don't open shop. First you practice, you don't know what you are, where you are going, and you are trying to teach somebody else. It doesn't work. And if that somebody else has a problem, don't come to me. I didn't ask you to teach. So don't. So 2 rules. One is practice at least once a day. 2, what? Don't teach. Not because of anything selfish, because it's sacred, it's very important, it's very serious. Only a person who knows, practices and achieves can teach. Others cannot teach. You may think you can. And third, try as much as possible to live on this earth without causing injury to other living beings. And when I say living beings, please include human beings also, not only animals. Don't feed sugar to the ants every day. Good thing to do, because at least you don't eat it. Give it to the ants. You won't get diabetes. But don't plan how to bump off your business partner. Every day you might be giving sugar to the ants. That's not wise. Try to live a life where you don't cause injury to other living beings. Now, injury can also be not just a physical blow, which is not bad actually. It will go off in a few minutes. Hurting people with your minds, with your words. So watch your words. When you say something, before you speak, think twice, what am I going to say? That will solve 60% of your problem in the world also. Before you speak, halt for 1 minute and say, what am I going to say? 1. Who am I going to say this to? 2. 3. Is this the right time to say it? All these apply. Sometimes what you are saying may be true, but it is not the right person to whom you need to say it. And even if it is the right person and what you say, it may not be the right time to say it. So, think about this. So, what are the 3 rules? Practice daily. Don't start teaching. Don't set up shop. That's what I said. If you are practicing Kriya together and if you have enough, you can discuss among you. That's a different matter. But don't sell it for money. That's what I'm trying to say. 3, as far as possible, don't cause injury to other living beings, including human beings. And 4, as far as possible, stick to the truth. Very difficult. Some people say all the 3 are okay, but the last one is difficult. Because we live in a world of lies. All the publicity that goes on is lie. All that you see on it, this is the best garment in the world. No, we don't know. That's what they say. This is the best soap in the world. Who knows? So, we live in that world, so it's not easy. And if you listen to political talks, you know what is the truth. So, try as much as possible to stick to the truth. Unless you are a lawyer or something. I hope there are no lawyers, no offense, but try to speak to. If these 4 rules can be followed, of which I would stress the first one, no, not you. Somebody is training to become. The main thing is to practice regularly. I would stress on that point. At least once a day, don't miss your Kriya no matter what happens. One important point. And the second, I think the most important, is try not to cause injury to other living by thought, word, manasa, vacha, karmana. Other things we can try to accommodate. slowly. Right? So are we ready for Kriya now? So you know why it is done, right? You have a rough idea now. Why? And you also know that certain precepts have to be followed before we practice. And the practice of Kriya is not to walk on water or fly in the air or become healers to heal the well-healed. But to move forward and reach the goal of life, which is to find one's true essence, which is part of the absolute reality and which is so blissful that those who have found it have no other desire left for anything else. That's what we are trying to find in the outside world anyway. So this is the purpose of yoga. And next part we only have the practice remaining, which we will do after a short break of 5-10 minutes. Then I will show you. Ready? Okay. Can we take a 10 minutes break? We have to ask our guardians. Ma? Okay, right. Wonderful. We have a tea break. Have a cup of tea and come back. Bonda also. I'll go there. Please don't ask me anything about Kriya when I'm having tea. Bonda might get stuck.